When Russian President Vladimir Putin took the stage for this year's State of the Union address, the hall was filled with the country's movers and shakers. But his message was aimed at the country's poorest.
We have to create such a strong creative power and dynamic of development that no obstacles would stop us from moving forward confidently and independently. We must solve one of the key tasks for the next decade, to ensure a confident, long-term growth of citizens' real income. We should at least have the poverty rate in the next 6 years.
Putin's up for re-election just 2 weeks from now, and he's making big promises to encourage people to go out and vote. He's pledging $194 billion to build roads, a key part of his modernization drive. He says $60 billion will be spent on helping poor families, and he wants to improve healthcare. Days before the polls, the opposition appears chaotic, hurling insults and tossing glasses of water at each other. And Putin is keen to display Russia's military might. That showmanship might help him bag votes at home, but he's not winning any popularity contests overseas, and the politics of confrontation doesn't seem to be working well for the economy either. Oil major Mobil is backing out of deals worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and the United States is drawing up even more sanctions. Putin's promising to lift 20 million Russians out of poverty if he gets another term in office, but it's not clear if he'll have the money to do it. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
Let's go to Moscow now for reaction to Putin's speech and what it may mean for Russia's economy. Joining me from there is Alexander Prosviryakov. He's president of investment firm Whitestone Capital. Alexander, great to have you on Money Talks again. Now, Putin is promising lots of government spending on jobs and infrastructure and everything else. He is likely to win pretty comfortably. So the question is, does he really need to be so generous? Should he instead be focusing on reining in the budget deficit?
Yes, hi Oscar. Yeah, we don't really have a problem with the budget deficit. If you see the financial state of Russia, now we're doing quite well because of the rise in the oil prices. We're getting more than expected by the budget, actually. If you look at the ruble rate, it is quite low, allowing us to benefit more because we get dollars by selling our resources and spending less rubles because of the favorable rate. But indeed, there is a big problem in terms of the regions of Russia, in terms of the infrastructure development. And what Putin said today is very important in terms of a long-term economic development policy in Russia, because I think the main problem now is more a demographic problem. People don't give birth to children because they don't see any support from the government. The government started monetary support, paying even for the first child, but people want to see more infrastructure like kindergartens, daycare facilities, like hospitals and roads, and this is exactly what he's talking about, and this is indeed very important.
Okay, Alexander, you're the head of an investment firm. How has the investment environment changed with the sanctions that Western countries have been imposing on Russia?
Yeah, well, indeed, the sanctions hurt, but it was more of in 2014, 2015. Like last week, we saw an increase in the rating of Russia. We saw S&P lifting the rating to investment grade level, and this gave road for foreign money to enter Russia now. Foreign companies started to invest more, and our markets, the debt market and the equity market, started to rise. The main internal financial, like the most important what's happening now is the lowering of the interest rate by the central bank, because our inflation is already around 2%, and the rate by the central bank is 7.5, and in the next few months we will see this rate go down, which will lead to more investment opportunities. The mortgage rate will go down, people will start buying housing, will start spending more on consumer goods, and we're bullish on Russia in terms of this sector, the construction sector and the retail sector, because this will be the next drivers. I think the ones that will not be good performers are the banks, because by lowering the interest rates, the banks will decrease their net interest margin and start making less money. But the consumer sector, the retail and the construction will be the main beneficiaries, and we invest in this sector.
Okay. Alexander, now Putin also said that the state's share of the Russian economy must gradually come down. Is he trying to reduce the influence of the state-owned enterprises and the oligarchs that run them, do you think?
Yeah, this is more of a political sense to it, because if we look at the state in Russia, it is mostly present in the strategically important industries like oil and gas, because we consider this like very important for Russia to keep control of the industry. We have a lot of industries where there's no Russian state-owned presence, like for example coal producing and coal trading. We don't have a single state-owned firm there. I think mostly what he's talking about is what happened late last year in December, when the Russian central bank bailed out the 3 big Russian banks, and the analysts start talking about increasing influence of Russia in the banking sector. But I'm sure that this is a temporary measure, and the central bank will sell the banks will become private in the next couple of years, so we don't see any problem with that.
Right, we will have to leave it there. Alexander Prosviryakov, president of Whitestone Capital in Moscow. Thank you very much indeed.